Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you on this October 27th, 2025. I got all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work, and we'll discuss the Louvre robbers, two of them in custody. You know who's not in custody? Laura Owens. She was actually caught by some of our audience members competing in a horse race this weekend. I'll explain to you guys why that's so offensive after, again, saying she had to postpone her court hearing due to, I guess, life-threatening illness. Well, maybe she felt better, maybe she took one of those emergency package, what do they call it? Airborne, she had some Alka-Seltzer, who knows? Either way, we'll get into that story. Then we'll talk a little bit about food stamps, our sort of Cold War tariff battle with Canada, and also the possible war with Venezuela. I know, it's a lot for a Monday morning. All these stories and more starts right now on The Rush. On the back half of this episode, we will have updates with the tariff war between the U.S. and Canada. But how about this Canadian-American love story, the old Can-Am love story happening? Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau spotted holding hands together, I believe for Katy Perry's birthday. That's how you know it's official. It's one thing to round the bases with somebody. Haven't we all banged a prime minister in our day or former prime minister? But in this case, they're holding hands. That's official. You're sharing germs that are readily transferred from one hand to another. So if that's not love, I don't know what is. But how about this? From Canada to Paris, the Louvre Museum, we have updates. 2 suspects arrested in the $102 million jewel heist. Let's hear all the updates.
2 suspects have been arrested in the Louvre Museum jewel heist, and they are currently being held and under interrogation inside of this vast police headquarters in northwest Paris. Prosecutors say one of them was arrested at Charles de Gaulle Airport trying to leave the country, and a police union rep is saying that both of them are known criminals with a history of burglary, and is saying that they were tracked down using DNA recovered from the scene. Now, 2 people under arrest. There were at least 4 who took part in the robbery itself. We don't know if those 2 were actually inside of the Louvre or not. Under French law, they can be held for 96 hours without charge. So that gets you to Wednesday evening. But at this point, there is still no news about the location of the stolen crown jewels.
All right, and there it is. And by the way, like I said before, I've got mixed feelings. Do I want the burglars to get away? I don't, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, what I need to know before I care about this? I need to know how the crown jewels were made. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of dodgy stuff. I'm not going to start defending, colonialism without knowing the backstory about these crown jewels. But either way, I guess, you're not supposed to take what's not yours, but, sometimes you do, right? I don't know. All right, speaking of committing fraud, I mean, how about this one? I got this message yesterday. I actually got a lot of messages. Whenever I check my Instagram and I have a lot of message requests, I know there's some real stories going on. So here's your Laura Owens update. I know you're on top of the Laura Owens situation. If you're interested, she was supposed to show up for a court date this past Thursday. She apparently told the prosecutor that she had a gastrointestinal illness and couldn't appear. In actuality, she was showing her horse at a Scottsdale event, spending thousands of dollars when I know she owes hundreds of thousands of debt, forcing her parents to file bankruptcy. There's video of her at the event if you want it. And I said, I would like to see that. So I've received all the video. Okay, I'm not going to share it all with you guys, but we've got video confirming the car that was driven there, the horse race itself, or the show, whatever you want to call it. It's not a race. I don't know. All I'm telling you is, after watching Laura Owens jump over a couple broomsticks here, I think I could get into horse competing. Should I be showing? Am I too heavy? Can a 180-pound man jump a horse over? I think so, right? I mean, maybe I could go keto and get down a bit. Either way, this story's wild. Megan Fox, on top of it, shared this clip. This is Laura Owens competing even after life-threatening illness.
170, Laura Owens of Scottsdale, Arizona, 570. first round.
So there she is, and again, this is no like street basketball at the local. It's very expensive, and why I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now, my kids will not be competing in any horse-related activities. You know what I mean? I don't. But either way, it looks like the horse is doing all the work here. Now I know there's going to be a couple angry equestrians out there saying, no, actually, there's a lot of whatever. These horses can do this in the wild. They don't need us on their backs getting trophies for them. Where's the anyhow? You get my point. But why is this interesting? Well, it's interesting because she literally just met with the judge behind closed doors, mind you, and filed some ADA thing, some reason why she needed to postpone her hearing after the judge wouldn't let her be on Zoom. She lives in Scottsdale, but she's trying to get an extended restraining order against Mike Maricini in San Francisco. It was supposed to be this past week. The judge gave her 2 weeks to say, hey, get your stuff together. But Laura tried to have, some, nurse show up in the Zoom and say she was sick, even though the nurse probably only met with her through telehealth. Laura claims she suffers from PTSD and extreme anorexia and all these other issues, which may or may not be true. I don't know. But if you're really sick, shouldn't you not be on a horse competing? And so you have that aspect of what's going on. But we're going to talk about the financial issue coming next. Today's episode of The Rush Hour is sponsored by Brick House Nutrition. We've all tried the fad diets over the years, juice cleanses, cabbage soup diet, raw food, etc. Doctors call it weight cycling. Half of Americans do it. And if you do it enough, you are at risk of diabetes, liver damage, heart attack, and stroke. Weight cycling is when you lose 10 or so pounds, but then you put the pounds back, plus a couple more. That puts tremendous strain on your organs and leads to serious health issues. Bottom line, most people need help to stop weight cycling, and here's a great way. Non-prescription Lean was created by doctors. Lean is an oral supplement, not a GLP-1 injectable, and the science is impressive. Its studied ingredients also target weight loss in 3 powerful ways. Lean helps maintain healthy blood sugar, it helps control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting it to energy. And burning fat helps keep the weight off. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add Lean to your diet and exercise lifestyle. Get 20% off when you enter Rush Hour at TakeLean.com. That's code Rush Hour at TakeLean.com. Yeah, look, everyone's running wild with the story. Laura Owens claims disability in court, then competes in a horse show. Look, I'm not here to rain on her parade. It's like, do what you want with horses. Horses are supposed to be good for PTSD, right? You clean them, you comb them. I don't know what you do. You read poetry to them. Do whatever the hell you want with horses. I don't care. I just think horses shouldn't be dragging people around Central Park, and I don't think that you should be claiming you've got a disability that means you can't fly to San Francisco. Ride your horse to San Francisco. I don't care. Either way, Justice for Clayton Official on Instagram, of course, doing the Lord's work, sharing the photos. Laura Owens took first place. Now, I don't know much about horses. Again, I'm going to have some angry horse people coming after me, but I think I feel it's like a participation trophy to me. I was told this is what you do when you're in your teens, right? That you show these horses and then you jump over a few things and then they give you some, it's like, I don't know, right? Everyone gets a superlative. It's like the school newspaper, right? Am I right or wrong? I could be pissing. I don't know. The horse show posted a photo of Laura winning. Congrats to the winners of the Outreach CEP Hunter Derbies, whatever the hell that means. So there's Laura. She won with her horse, and then I guess they blocked it. They posted this photo, and then they didn't block it. They posted the photo, and then afterwards they deleted it, probably realizing, oh boy, there's a lot going on here with our girl Laura Owens. And by the way, look, like I said, compete in as many horse shows as your little horse heart desires. I don't care about that. But we've got men with restraining orders against them, at least 3 that we know of, because of lies, because of fabrications she has made. And rather than show up in person and, state her case as to why she needs an extended restraining order, she's quite literally at the horse show. So when I got this text message, this was, I guess maybe there was multiple days in a row she was at this horse show. I don't really know how it works. Not that deep into the horse community. I've got a child, you know what I mean? I'm running around with the baby. I should be getting a trophy. You know what I mean? That's way harder than this horse shit. No offense. I've really been butchering these horse people. Don't come after me. I hear you're all crazy. That's the one thing horse people say is like, they're like, yeah, we're all pretty crazy. They all say it. You know what I mean? They're all willing to admit it. Every horse person is willing to admit they're crazy, except for Laura, apparently. And I don't know, maybe it's like a socioeconomic thing. Like maybe you're not crazy because you're in horses. Maybe you're in horses because you're crazy. You ever think about that? Maybe it's because you're wealthy and you can afford all these things. Now, here's what's interesting. With Laura here, good friend Laura, good friend of the podcast. Here's what's interesting is her parents are dead broke. I mean, dead broke. You know, they filed bankruptcy. Laura's mom owes a whole bunch of money to Laura's mom's brother. They owe Clayton Eckert's attorneys $250,000. I mean, they are broke as a joke. And how about this? Someone asked the question, Laura can't be that stupid, right? After requesting a continuance, how are they transporting the horse to the shows? That's cost, and wonder if they own a truck and a trailer. If they do, they didn't list it on the bankruptcy paperwork. Sirocco is the name of the horse, was shipped into the horse show arena the night prior. Laura paid for braiding of her horse's hair, $400 expense, plus transport, shelter, registration, training, easily $3,000 to $5,000 total cost. I mean, yeah, make it make sense. Again, not here to rain on her parade, but if you're the judge in San Francisco trying to hold a fair trial and you've got Laura complaining about bleeding that's going on in her GI tract, which by the way, get that checked out. It's like, what are you supposed to say when she's out there literally gallivanting? Normally we say gallivanting as some sort of, over exaggerated term, but she was quite literally gallivanting, you know what I mean? Or galloping at least. I don't know. It wasn't the most graceful thing in the world. I don't know what it is. They wear these dumb helmets. They all look like a bunch of lollipops, right? Doesn't she look like a K-pop you'd buy at a Starbucks or not buy? Either way, there it is, folks. There's your update. And from one bachelorette to another, here's Brooks Nader offering advice, saying she would date a normal person. I don't believe this is true, but here's what she had to say.
That's good. Prefer to date a normie or a famous person next?
It doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to you?
Statuses.
Fantastic.
That shocks everyone, but it really doesn't.
Hey, you two make a cute couple for real, though.
So then we have what's interesting here is the cameraman for TMZ is saying that Brooks Nader and her bodyguard would make a cute couple. And I have to agree. I know we've seen this, I think, in a Whitney Houston movie, right? Bodyguard. But either way, I think it was funny that Brooks, I just wanted to share this. We've been covering Brooks, and she's like, it doesn't matter what you do. Bullshit. It always matters what you do. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean you're shallow. It's like, well, you don't, if you're going to invest your time in somebody, you want to make sure they're notable. Now, you shouldn't go target people that were The Bachelor, unless, they want to be targeted, but no means no. Either way, Brooks is single. I have to tell you, if you haven't watched her reality show, it's good. It's a good reality show. You should check it out. I found it fascinating. She's kind of got the Kardashians thing going on with her sisters. It's a little try hard. They probably set up some of the situations, but I thought it was fun. Either way, Brooks is a handful to say the least. All right, how about this? President Donald Trump, Time releases new cover following his criticism of the past photo. So we covered this a few weeks ago. So Time magazine, gives Trump some love, really, puts him on the cover, and then he does every guy who's got a lady out there has this issue. You take her photo, you take the most beautiful photo of your lady you could imagine. You're like, I'm so lucky to have my lady. And then she looks at the photo and goes, you piece of shit, I look like an absolute whore. And you're like, what? I don't know. How dare you shoot me from that angle? And again, Trump here, of course, with his nussy is what they're calling it. That stands for the area under your chin that's, is where extra fat goes as you get older. shoulder, right? It's normal. I'm not being ageist here, but anyway, he didn't want his nussy showing, apparently. Well, don't let your nussy hang out if you don't want it showed. So either way, he complained about it. So then they shot a more flattering photo of him. Again, will we lower grocery prices on day one? Maybe not. But damn if we're not going to have our nussy hanging out for the whole world to see. All right, let's move it on. How about this? So we're in a sort of Cold War with Canada. Donald Trump was upset that Canada put out this ad, even though it was factually accurate. Have a listen to this.
I don't know. They cheated on a commercial. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs, and they said he didn't. And I guess it was AI or something. They cheated.
So Trump claims that Canada made a fake news commercial of Ronald Reagan saying, as Ronald Reagan was critical of terrorists. Trump says fake news.
Badly. Canada got caught cheating on a commercial. Can you believe it?
Peaceful trading partners are not our enemies. They are our allies. We should beware of the demagogues who are ready to declare a trade war against our friends, weakening our economy, our national security, and the entire free world.
So as it turns out, Ronald Reagan was not AI. He actually said this on video, and he was warning people basically about what Trump's doing right now. After Donald Trump claimed the Reagan clip was artificial intelligence, here's former Canadian Member of Parliament Charlie Angus offering a response.
A Canadian interview today, and they said, well, don't you think it's very un-Canadian that we interfered in their country, blah, 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 clutching the pearls? I said, this is a guy who showed a video, an AI video of him dumping diarrhea on his own citizens. This man is not worthy of any office in any land. So the fact that he's freaked out that we showed a video that just had Ronald Reagan speaking shows that he's not trustworthy. People are not going to be expecting him to live up to his word, and it's forcing all nations, whether they wanted to or not, to look elsewhere. And so Canada's looking elsewhere.
And that's true. Canada's looking to do more trading with Asian countries and others. And this is the problem with tariffs is it's like if the United States was a hot chick and we're like, no, if you want to date me, you need to take me out to a 5-star restaurant. And you're like, well, that other hot chick says I'm only going to take her to a Wendy's. I'm going to go with the other hot chick. We're not the only broad in the town square anymore, folks. And that's what we are learning and have to realize, our country. It's that there's so many other trade routes that can accomplish things. Like we don't have the only hot chick in town energy. But anyhow, that's where we're at. Now, our own Treasury Secretary didn't even know about this, but Donald Trump did an impulsive 10% tariff on Canada. Again, this is what's so funny, right? It's like he was supposed to be this free speech guy. We got to protect the First Amendment. And I know this doesn't count as free speech, but now we have a Canadian ad runs and Trump's wounded. His ego's wounded. So he puts a 10% tariff on them, which again is punishing his own people.
Will the 10% tariffs apply to all Canadian goods, Mr. Secretary?
Kristen, I've been traveling since this unfortunate event happened. I know that the ad's been taken down. So, we'll have to see. But I just think it was terrible judgment by this premier, who has a bit of a reputation for being a hothead.
And it's like, who cares, right? Who cares? I guess they do. So Scott Bessent takes a few days off. He has a nice long weekend. You know how it is. It's Monday. You come back from a long weekend. You're afraid to open your Gmail and find out that you have new 10% tariffs on Canada. Either way, that's where they're at. Well, check out this story. A listener of the show says, can I make a request for Monday's rush hour that includes something about SNAP food stamps being stopped for November because of the government shutdown? Yeah, let's talk about it. So this article came out here on ABC News. Trump administration posts notice that no federal food aid will go out November 1st. The new notice comes after the Trump administration said it would not tap roughly $5 billion in contingency funds to keep benefits through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly referred to as SNAP, flowing into November. That program helps about 1 in 8 Americans buy groceries. So they want to blame Democrats because the government is shut down because they don't have the Democratic votes, from enough votes from the Democratic Party to approve, keeping the government open. That's what's going on. The reason is why. The reason the Democrats aren't voting to keep the government open is because health insurance subsidies were taken away in this big, beautiful bill, which is going to lead 20 million people to be, to not be able to afford their health insurance. It's starting in 2026. Quarter one, right away, people are going to see their health costs skyrocket. This was a fear that people said, and now they're seeing it take place in the open market. The Affordable Care Act had subsidies that kept people's premiums from exploding. So some people are already seeing 400% increase. They might have spent $1,500 before a month. Now it's $6,000. I mean, crazy numbers like that, just from $400 to $1,500, just absolute insanity. And the average American can't even afford an extra $400 emergency payment. So they're just not going to have health care. People will die very soon. They will not go to the doctor when they should because they can't afford it, and preventative illnesses will not be caught, and all of that. It's going to be nasty, and this is what's happening. So the Democrats said, we need to fix this. We need to fix this, or we're not going to keep the government open. And in response, one of the things going on is Trump's using as leverage those that get food stamps. Quite simply, the poorest people that need help, that need a little assistance to get by. He's saying no, and it's the Democrats' fault. So they don't care about you. They don't care who starves to death. Don Jr. was never on food stamps. They've been perfectly fine. Now, I personally believe anyone who needs food stamps, it should be a right, just like healthcare should be a right. We shouldn't live in the richest country in the history of the world. Like, this just isn't something that should be happening. So what's going to happen come November 1st when people don't have a little extra money in these, subsidy accounts that are there to help them? Well, they're gonna, people are going to resort to stealing. That's what's going to happen. They're going to resort to stealing because, when it comes to taking care of your family, you'll do what you have to do. And I know if I needed to be on food stamps and the government decided they weren't going to help me out, even though I paid into a system that was there as a safety net to help me out on rough times, absolutely, I would do what I needed to do, and that's what we're going to see happen. And people are going to wonder, well, why does so many people need food stamps? Well, because the whole system is not working right because wages haven't kept up with technology. The ownership class it has gained more wealth. We live in a time with greater wealth disparity. It hasn't been this bad since the Gilded Age, when there's literal billion-dollar ballrooms going up and people that are in food lines because they need to get fed. That's what's going on. That's why there needs to be progressive tax structures that take money from those that are fortunate enough to make it at an exorbitant level and those that have really benefited from the system, and they get taxed in a way that helps those that can use a lending hand. And, we've been sold this idea that, people are welfare queens, they're mooching off the system. Listen, nobody's received more government subsidies than billionaires like Elon Musk. And I mean, there are so many people that have had government subsidies and tax benefits. The wealthy know how to, use every loophole that exists. But when it comes to the poor people just trying to get some food for their family, we complain, well, maybe they're using food stamps to buy sodas. Like, look, we could have the conversation about what food's healthy and what's not and all of that. But right now, we live in the richest country in the world that is going to begin to starve a large section of people as part of a political game. All right, final story of the day, or of the morning, I should say. How about this? Are we going to be going to war with Venezuela? I've been calling this one for months now as tensions are escalating. They've done CIA covert ops with Venezuela. We're tempting them by blowing up a bunch of, alleged narco-terrorist drug boats.
If I was Maduro, I'd head to Russia or China right now.
Because?
His days are numbered.
So there's Senator Rick Scott, Republican from Florida, says the days of the Venezuelan president are numbered. Now, regardless of what you think of him, should we be meddling in another country's democracy? We certainly are. It's not the first time. It's not new. We're just in the middle of it watching this play out.
Something's going to happen. Whether it's internal or external, I think something's going to happen.
The firepower that's off the coast, right? This is an armada. This is a lot of U.S. forces
Are we about to invade Venezuela?
I don't think so. I mean, if we do, I'd be surprised.
Earlier this month, President Trump announced he approved covert CIA operations inside Venezuela.
What do you think removing Maduro would signal to other socialist regimes in the area?
It'll be the end of Cuba.
Cuba relies on subsidized Venezuelan oil to prop up its economy.
America is going to take care of the Southern Hemisphere, and we're going to make sure that there's freedom and democracy.
And again, that's the whole question is, how is this America first, that we're spending all this money on other countries and not taking care of ourselves, literally, holding back food stamps for people? Well, I've been asking this question for a while, which is, rather than blow up the drug boats, why don't you arrest those, seize the drugs, and actually show people what's on the drug boats? Wouldn't that be a better photo op, or do they just want to blow shit up? Have a listen.
Drug boats, sir. Has there been any discussion about capturing one so that you can show the amount of narcotics?
We know everything about them. Yeah, Jennifer. We know everything about them. We know where they're coming from, who they're coming with, generally who's in the boat. I'll let Pete discuss it a little bit, but they have incredible intelligence.
So why don't you ride your boats up to them, seize the drugs from the boat, and maybe, I don't know, find out who their suppliers are, go to the bigger issue? Like, really? We're just trying to kill 5-6 people at a time. Now, of course, there's also the thought of maybe these aren't all just drug boats. Maybe there's innocent lives on there, migrants. They don't seem to care. And look, I don't care if these speedboats say drugs on them. You still have due process.
Usually when you see 5 engines, I've never even seen that before, but when you see 5 engines on a boat going about 65 miles an hour, loaded up with white powder in silver cases, generally speaking, that's not a good sign.
Generally speaking, I live in a world where you get a fair trial, and if that is suitcases full of white powder, it should be very easy to prove that, and then you can put those guys away, right? I don't know. That's the world I've kind of grown up living in. Doesn't seem like we're there right now. All right, well, that's it for us this morning. I'll be back this afternoon. A lot to get into. We're only getting started. It's going to be a pretty wild week. We'll see you then. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.